Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel, and in this video we'll be continuing on with measurement and area, and we're going to focus on finding the area of composite shapes. So by the end of this lesson we should all know what a composite shape is, know where to cut a composite shape to create two or more simple shapes, and finally be able to find the area of composite shapes. So let's start off with what a composite shape is. A composite shape is a shape that is made up of more than one simple shape. And the area of composite shapes can be found by adding or subtracting the areas of different shapes. So down here we can see two examples of composite shapes. This one on the left is a square plus a triangle, and this one is a rectangle minus a triangle. So when calculating the area of these shapes, for the one on the left we'll just calculate the area of the square first and then the triangle and add them together. In this shape here, we'll calculate the area of the rectangle and then the triangle and subtract the area of the triangle from the rectangle. They'll make more sense when we do a few questions together. So just pause the video here and take a minute to write these down. Alright, so now that you're back, we'll go through these questions together. So first thing we do is cut the shape in the relevant area. So I can see two shapes here, a rectangle here and a triangle if we cut it correctly. There we go. Sorry about the wonky lines again. Alright, so let's start with the area of the rectangle. Area of the rectangle is just length times width, or base times height, whatever you want to call it. So it will be area of rectangle equals to 9 times 5. So that will give us 45 meters squared. And the triangle here, this length is 9 and that is 12, so this length must be 12 minus 9, so we know that is 3 meters. And to calculate the area of a triangle I'll just draw a triangle here, is half base times height. Alright, we've got the base here, that is 3, and the height, it's exactly the same as that 5, so that will just be 5 meters. So our formula would now be half times 3 times 5. So that will give us half times 15, and that should give us 7.5 meters squared. So now we just add those two together. It's running out of space here. 45 plus 7.5, just work that out. I'm just going to quickly put that in the calculator, and that should give us an area of 52.5 meters squared. Alright, now let's go through the second one together. So for this one, I'll calculate the area of the square and then subtract the area of the triangle. We have all the information we need. So for the area of square, I'll just draw a square here again. That will be 6 squared, so that will give us 36 centimeters squared. Always check the units when you're working these out. And the next one, area of triangle, that is half times base times height, and we have the base exactly the same as that, so that gives us 6, and our height is 4. So now we have half times 24, and that gives us an area of 12 centimeters squared. So area of the whole shape, that will be 36 minus 12, and that brings us to 24 centimeters squared. Alright. Now these next two questions, just pause the video and take a few minutes to work on them by yourself. Alright, let's start with this. Let's start with the left one. This one's pretty straightforward. It's got the cut for you as well, so it's just area of that rectangle plus the area of that square. And remember, these lines, they mean they're all the same length, so the lines there and there, so that means this will be 3 meters as well. So area of rectangle, I'll just write rec, that gives us 8 times 3, brings us to an area of 24 meters squared. And then we have the area of square, it's just 3 square, and that brings us to 9 meters squared. So the area of the full shape is just 24 plus 9, and that brings us to 33 meters squared. Give yourself a tick if you got that correct. Alright, so for this area on the shape on the right, it is the area of the rectangle minus the area of the triangle. So let's start with the rectangle. That is just 10 times 7 base times height. That brings us 70 centimeters squared. And then let's move on to area of triangle. It gives us the base here, that is 2. And because that length is 10 and that length is 8, the height of the triangle must be 10 minus 8, so this is also 2 centimeters. So let's write down our formula again. Half times base times height. We have half times 2 times 2, which equals half times 4, which gives us a total of 2 centimeters squared. So the area of the whole shape is just 70 minus 2, and that brings us to 68 centimeters squared. And give yourself a tick if you got that correct again. Alright, moving on. This question's a little bit more difficult. You need to make your own cut, and the shape's just a little bit harder. So just pause the video and have a minute or two to work on this, and just unpause when you're ready to go through it with me. Alright, so for this shape here, our first step is to make the relevant cuts. So it is pretty tempting to cut the shape like that and that. So we have a square here, a rectangle here, and a triangle here, or maybe even just a rectangle here and a triangle here. But the problem with that, for this particular shape, it might work for other questions, but we don't have enough information to work this out. We don't know what that length of that triangle is, and we don't know what that is, and we don't know what the height is. Or we do know what the height is, it's 3, but still not enough information to work that out. So the cut I would make for this shape, give yourself a tick if you did this as well, is I'll cut it here to make 2 triangles. So we just need to find the area of these 2 triangles and add them together. So let's start with the smaller triangle, just half times base times height again. And that gives us half times 2 times 2, and we did that one before. That just becomes 2 meters squared. And the next one, the bigger triangle, it's just half times 5 times 5. Yep, base and the height are the same length. That gives us half times 25, and that gives us a value of 12.5 meters squared. Now we just need to add these together. So total area equals 12.5 plus 2, and that brings us to a final answer of 14.5 meters squared. Give yourself a tick if you got that one correct as well. Alright, now you guys are ready to move on and work on your relevant questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
2 + 2 is 4, -1, that's 3, quick maths.